John Wayne lied to you.
Wow. Welcome to John Wayne Lied to You, the podcast featuring me, non-extreme horror writer, and one half of the punk rock duo, John Wayne is Dead. I'm John Wayne. Welcome. Thank you all for being here, for returning. Again, we're in the new space, the new digs. As you listeners, longtime listeners, short-time listeners know, I had to move recently, so the Neon Palace of Sin was dismantled bit by bit, brick by brick, evil bit by evil bit, and restored here in our new space, the Room of Doom. That's what we're calling it this week. We'll see. We'll see if it sticks. Next week, we might have something else. You want to call it something else? Hey, you could email us always at johnwayneliedtoyou@gmail.com. And that's also where you can email and ask me any questions about the show or anything we talked about or comments or all that good stuff. You know, all of that. So welcome, everybody, to the show. Thank you, of course, for being here. Again, as we're getting used to, I chose a different angle to film from this week. Let me know. I think this one works a little bit better. The reason was, if you watched last week's video, the back is cool, but, the cases that I have, my figurines in, it's all white behind him. There's no background behind it, and I just didn't like that way that space looked. I've been told recently that I have something that's, I forget what it's called, but a fear of open spaces. So I like to get everything full as I can, fill all the spaces on my body, on everything. Guitar case is covered with stickers. My walls are covered with art. Hey, I'm okay with it. It's a great life for me. So anyway, welcome. Thank you, guys. I think this vibe, this angle, I think it's gonna work. We may mix it up a little bit here and there, but hey, this is gonna be it for now. And if you're watching the video feed, thank you so much for checking it out. If you're not, hey, thank you for checking out the audio feed as well. But if you do want to watch and see what all the fuss is about, see the segments in living, breathing color, you could go to the John Wayne Lied to You YouTube page. It's John Wayne Lied to You, all one word, because you know how I like to do it, just like John Wayne is Dead. But I put the podcast on its own separate channel because I felt like it needed its own channel, but so now I don't know. Now I don't know. Maybe I should have put it in the John Wayne is Dead YouTube channel and just put it under a group called Podcast. Did I fuck up? I don't know, but please, you'll let me know, I'm sure, which probably the answer is yes. So, oh well. It's out there, John Wayne Lied to You, on the YouTube page. But I think before we get going any further down the road, before we continue with updates and stories and everything, I think we need to get the day started right, the show started right. Of course, we know that with a big old cup of black coffee here and some Grandpappy's medicine. Now, we're going to do something a little different again. We're going to go ahead and take to the great outdoors for some Grandpappy's medicine. Please, come on, please. Follow me. Here we are, once again, in the gazebo of evil, right off the fabulous Las Vegas Strip. Right there, behind us, just blocks away. Welcome to, of course, the little smoke sesh. We like to have it outside from time to time. We like to move this stool, stand outside. It's a new spot, new era of the show, and we're just getting started. We're just getting used to it. Still ironing out all the details, but for the time being, we'll be taking our smoke breaks together, and please, I hope that you join me. I do hope that you do. In this wonderful, we have a great big cup of coffee here. I gotta get it in my big mug because I need my caffeine powers to be fully activated, and I think that they are. Now, today, of course, we've got a peeping, piping, popping, poping Grandpappy's medicine right here for us all. And just take a look at this. Can we take a look at this greenery right here? Can we get a good shot? Yes, look at that. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Now, this is special. This is different. I went out, I purchased this specially on my way back from one of the conventions I was just at, coming back through New Mexico from Tennessee. I stopped at High Desert, where this is from High Desert Relief, and I got us a little surprise here. This is something different. something special. I walked in. I said, "What's testing at your highest sativa?" A wonderful bud tender that was there. It's amazing, very, very helpful because I rolled in at 10 to 9. Now in New Mexico, all of the dispensaries close at 9, at least all the ones that I pull up on Weed Maps. If you know different, let me know. Anyway, I'm like white knuckling it through Texas, trying to get that. I gotta get some weed. Get to New Mexico. We get there. It's like 9 minutes. I'm like, oh, please, 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 please make it. I pull into the thing. I go in. I was like, I made it just in time. But you know what? She was so cool. She said, even if you would have gotten here and we were closed, if we were still here closing down, we would have opened up and let you in and let you get some stuff. So that is amazing. So what we are smoking today is Sour Diesel Kush Mints. So this is a hybrid of the two. It's just called Sour Diesel X Kush Mint. So sativa. Now, what's so special about this bad boy is it is testing at a cool 36% THC, my friends. You know we like that. So here we go. Let's get it going. Fantastic. This is smooth. It's got a very nice little flavor on it. I've always liked a sour diesel the way it tastes. This has got that on the back end. Man, it tastes good. It's very tasty. And we'll get you that kush. And I have to say, because I've smoked a little bit of this already, I can tell you it does the job. Speaking of doing the job, I hope we all got our good Grandpappy Medicine smoke. We grabbed our cup of coffee. Hey, let's get back inside to the show, all right? All right. And welcome back. I hope you feel great and refreshed. I know I do, and ready for the rest of the show. So, up top, before we get going too much further, I just want to let everyone know that if you've been looking at my schedule and following along, I'm supposed to be at FrankenCon this weekend, which is May 2nd and 3rd. I will not be there, guys. I have to cancel. I officially canceled today. It was a game time decision. I really wanted to be there. Big shouts out to Richard and the whole crew that puts FrankenCon together. I've spoken about them before. The last two that I've been to, if you've listened, long-time listeners know, I speak highly of this convention, highly of Richard. He does a great job. And I want to be there really, really badly. However, just the way things, are right now is tough. Always completely transparent, with everyone on this show. It's expensive to do these runs, and things are slowing down everywhere, it seems. I don't know, at least where I'm concerned. So I really wanted to make it work. I was trying to put together the finances, trying to put together, a big part of it was finances for more inventory that I had. You got to pay your bills sometimes. So this time I had to pay my bills. And, it's okay. I'm sorry to miss FrankenCon, but I will be, I'm girding my loinsing my girds, and eating my curds and whey to get ready for Texas Frightmare in May. You guys know that's one of my favorites and the big bad one. And I'm doing things that I can to get it together. So I will have a huge amount of inventory for that show. So I will be there for you, Texas, and a lot of people come from all over for that show. So it's gonna be good. It's gonna be a great time. I'm sorry I won't be at FrankenCon though, guys. It sucks. So I apologize to everyone. Anyway, I want to give a big shouts out also to all of my Patreon people, my supporters. Thank you all so much for being a part of my Patreon and supporting me. That helps so much. You have no idea, always from the bottom of my heart. Thank you. If you'd like to check out my Patreon, throw a little bit more support your Uncle Johnny's way, check it out. Patreon.com/JohnWayneIsDead, or just go to johnwayneisdead.com and hit the Patreon link, and you can choose from one of the tiers, and all of the tiers, no matter what you choose, comes with access to the Awesome Dude for Life bonus podcast, which comes out every week as well, in which I speak to other artists that I meet from all over this fine place while I'm on the road, and from different walks of my life, and we get on, we have a good conversation, not only about their career and what they do, but just we have a good old fashion talk about interests and our histories and stuff like that. The paths that brought us to becoming the artist that we are now, or put us on the path to become the in the discipline and the craft we do. These conversations are very, very interesting and a lot of fun always. You guys who listen know I talk about how much I like to do that show, so it's a real treat. And there's 150 episodes or something like that, back episodes that you get access to, plus everything going forward. It is video, it is audio. Also on my Patreon wall, I will put new John Wayne is Dead music, new demos coming up, and a little bit more on that later. So check it out, please. Patreon.com/John Wayne is Dead, or you can hit the link at johnwayneisdead.com, and we appreciate it. Anyway, speaking of John Wayne is Dead, if you do not know, that is a band I play in with the ignanimous, perennimus Christopher Cross Jet, Chris Jet, if you are nasty. We've got some things going on, guys. I know I've been, we had just this last week or the week before, we watched the new John Wayne is Dead video for our song Last Plot on the Left. And since then, we've got some new things cooking. First of all, if you're in the Las Vegas area or surrounding area, or plan to be, May 14th, Chris and I are playing a huge show at the Red Dwarf. That is one of our favorite places. It's an excellent punk rock club with awesome beer, and they make Detroit style pizzas. They do a whole vegan side of them. If you're a vegan, it's just the right amount of dank and class and smell of beer to make it just perfect. So come on out to the Red Dwarf on May 14th to check us out with Switch to Fakey and another band to be announced. But aside from that, our new album, Who Hurt You, is been out on streaming for a few months now. We had it on cassette, and we sold all of those cassettes. The whole first run of cassettes is gone. Now, just this week, this is confirmed, done, in the bank, coming our way. Confirmed vinyl of Who Hurt You is being made. When is it coming out? I will let you know as soon as they give us even an estimate back from the plant as to when it might come out. But keep looking around at johnwayneisdead.com and checking my socials and Chris Jess socials, because we have a lot of pre-order packages that are being put together for the vinyl. It's going to come in two colors: pink swirl, translucent pink swirl, and a lime electric green, like that kind that we like, that bright green. And also along with that, ooh la la, what a second run of cassettes. That's right, second run of cassettes. That's confirmed. Those will be in my hot little hands in a matter of weeks, 2 or 3 weeks. And those are also, last time, for the first pressing of the cassettes, the first run, whatever you want to call it, we did translucent pink and translucent green. This time we are doing opaque purple people eater purple. Yeah, that's the one. And then this beautiful translucent seafoam green, a seafoam blues, greenish seafoam, whatever that one is. The cassettes are coming out in those two different colors. The vinyl is coming out in those two different colors. We have packages with exclusive stickers, buttons that are already coming, and it's going to be awesome. We're very, very stoked on this. Like I said, it is streaming on Spotify. If you haven't followed John Wayne is Dead on Spotify, we could use all the help we could get right now. We're trying to put just a massive amount of our energy behind promoting this. So you're going to be hearing a lot about this record, about the shows that we'll be doing for it, about all, more videos, more looks at how behind the scenes looks at the record. all kinds of stuff. And if you haven't followed John Wayne is Dead on Spotify, please give us a follow. Just check it out, all one word, John Wayne is Dead. We could use, like I said, all the help we could get. And then once we start the push, hey, if you've been someone who's been liking our music and following us for a while, we could really use all of their help to push out the good word and promote this record, because we're very, very proud of it. Marshall, our producer, did an awesome job. All three of us coming together to produce this very special piece of art, and that's what it is. And we hope you enjoy it. It's different from the last album, but it's still punk rockish as hell. So if you haven't heard it, check it out and get ready for the vinyl. Get ready for the second run of cassettes. They're coming your way. Like I said, keep track at johnwayneliedtoyou.com, or follow me at johnwayneliedtoyou on Instagram and TikTok, and we'll be letting you know about that for sure. So let's see, what else do we have? Oh my, well, this week has been we'll talk about this week later on in the show, all the ins and outs, all the moving pieces and parts that have been going down with me lately. And but before we do that, I we have a few segments that we like to do around here. And the first one, I talked about the Awesome Dude for Life podcast already at the top of the show. And you guys know what I like to do. I like to give you a little taste of what is happening on Patreon this week. So this week I got to talk to a good friend of mine, writer Craig Brownlee. We've met a few years ago at Scares That Care, and we keep seeing each other at conventions and chatting and keeping in touch. And he is a great guy, a great writer, and he's got an interesting story, rooted in journalism and all kinds of interesting. His path to writing is awesome and interesting to listen to. So you can hear it on Patreon this week on the Awesome Dude for Life bonus podcast in its entirety. But right now, I am going to play for you a clip, a portion, a sampling, if you will, of my conversation with Craig Brownlee, author. Here we go.
So I started writing as a teenager, got interested in journalism because of fun things like Watergate and journalists looking kind of cool.
Did you look at Hunter S. Thompson during this period as was one of those quote unquote cool journalists, or?
By late high school, yes. Early on, though, it was the Washington Post crew and things like that, because they were the ones that were being talked about all the time.
What a time when it's like the local or like the news is like the Avengers or something. It's like yeah, that's what everyone's like. That's a better time. I don't want to be Captain America. I want to go snap a few pics like Jimmy Olsen, that's all I want. Maybe,
exactly.
Make a couple bucks, go home. That's all I need. Anyway.
And Jimmy Olsen had the cool comic book too.
He did. Yeah, absolutely.
Started writing some poetry first because it was short and, I was a kid. And trying to write other things, some stories, kind of influenced by the omnipresent Stephen King and then Peter Straub, because of things like The Shining and Ghost Story were big, and they terrified me.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
And my dad was very active in the theater. Nice. Community theater. And so I also had a lot of interest in that.
Yeah.
And by the time I got to college, I started out studying journalism, kept writing.
Did you do the paper like in high school or anything? Was there a high school paper?
Oh, yeah. I did actually even started an alternative paper in high school.
Okay, what is that all about? What was the alternative paper, like a underground type of thing, or?
Yeah, kind of. So it was really weird. So I went to a private school for high school, and it was a boarding school. So it was a lot of trying to find ways to keep yourself occupied. And the official school newspaper came out once a week and was really boring.
Yeah.
And there were a couple of us that thought it would be fun to start a much more entertaining and better paper. And we even got some faculty members to give us interviews. We actually, if you can picture a 14 or 15-year-old approaching an adult teacher and saying, yeah, we want it to be like the Playboy interview.
Nice. And how many went along with it? You said some, right?
Yeah, they did. And then one read what we'd actually published from the interview, and was not happy about it. So,
what, did you guys polish the truth a little bit, or just try to make it sexier?
No, we actually wrote what he said.
Context. He's like, context. God damn it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he went into some real sociological commentary. Yeah.
I like you, Craig. Come here, sit down. And he's like all drinking out of his desk and stuff. I'm going to tell you why life is horrible.
Really, he was a great guy. And I think he felt like I might be endangering his career.
So needless to say, the paper, the plug was pulled, or what? Or you kept it going?
Well, they didn't.
They can't silence your voice.
They were really uncomfortable. I mean, I know it's hard to believe, but they were actually really uncomfortable with the idea of censorship. I mean, who would think?
Yeah, simpler times, like I said, dude. Take me back.
So that that I also worked on the yearbook kind of stuff, which for us was lots of photos with lots of snide and humorous captions. So it was a lot of fun sitting in a room. Basically, it was a writer's room trying to write one-liners.
Everyone's just like riffing on that. Okay, we got this picture. You put it up there.
Yeah.
Exactly. Let's knock out the obvious stuff. You're on the whiteboard. Like, all right, fatty 2x4. We know. Okay, like, and then then you just from there you start, really getting down to some good ones.
Exactly.
different time.
That's for sure. So college was journalism, and then I got a job working in the theater department, publicity, and they needed some summer employees. And
this is at the Ohio State University?
Ohio University, which is different from Ohio State.
Because you played football at the Ohio State, and then you were the paper.
Oh, yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, because nobody ever keeps track of Ohio State football.
Nobody. Yeah.
And OU actually was really known for its journalism department. And that's why I went there in the first place, because it was funded by Scripps.
Oh, cool.
And all of that sort of thing. And the theater department basically said, why don't you stick around and go for a master's degree and we'll employ you, which they did. And then they switched me up and had me learn design and directing, as well as playwriting.
Oh, wow.
So I got to work with some really cool people. This was when we had some great visitors. Edward Albee came to visit. He spent a semester.
Oh, wow. That's pretty cool.
I was in a class with Zaixum Da, and it was pretty cool. And so I learned a lot there. And one of my professors was a guy by the name of Seabury Quinn. Who was Seabury Quinn Jr. And Senior was known for his contributions to Weird Tales magazine.
Hell yeah. I love that kind of shit. I think we've waxed poetic about those kind of stories before. Mm-hmm. And this was the son of this man was your professor? Is that what you're saying? That's pretty cool.
And I didn't put it together until pretty much I'd graduated, and it was sort of like, wait, this book is not by my professor, but that's a weird name, so
it's gotta be him.
Exactly.
And what was he the professor of?
He was in charge of the graduate playwriting program.
Oh, okay.
So I spent an incredible amount of time with him. And he was a big help with directing. We started a thing that's carried on to this day there, the Playwrights Festival, and just did a lot of stuff with that. I wrote a number of plays, got involved in that, ended up having more success after I moved to Boston with design and that sort of thing in front of house work, because nobody ever wants to do that.
Now, so when did you start feeling the I guess the pull or the change from news writing journalism to now playwriting prose, like that kind of switch, because they're very different. I was a journalism minor and I hated it. I hated writing articles. Like, I was like, Jesus fucking Christ, I got another goddamn article for this paper. Shit. And then you had to find your own. They couldn't just assign you like, hey, go talk to this fucking person. You had to be like, how about I go just interview the cheerleaders again? Or something like, yeah, go ahead, do it. And you just basically have to fill space in this paper. But that's not my style of writing. Not a style I didn't ever enjoy. Now, essay writing about something I can do, but news writing never really was my thing. So when did you decide like, I'm done? Or were you still into both? Were you just like, I got a fucking trident of talent and I'm going to stab you in the heart and the groin with it?
More the latter.
I knew you were a freaky son of a bitch. I knew it.
It's true. I was actually writing for the city paper here until about 10 years ago.
Oh, wow.
Just in my off hours, but I was sort of contributing articles about pop culture and food.
No, that's cool. I was going to say, like, it's kind of like a color commentator or something like that. That's what I would be. I wouldn't know stats or anything. I'd just crack jokes and shit. Like,
I mean, these were a lot of short articles, and it was let's go out and have a really inexpensive meal kind of money, but it was fun, and the thing with writing is always trying to find some camaraderie when you're not all alone with your keyboard.
Right.
So journalism's kind of good for that, depending on the room.
It's true.
Like all these things. But yeah, the pyramid structure of writing a newspaper article just can really wear you down.
Yeah, it's I don't know if you know this about me. I don't like sticking to formulas too much myself. Kind of.
I'm with you.
Kind of not into that, but like I said, give me the reins to just like write an essay if I don't have to put things in the article or whatever, like the news writing way. Like, sure, I'll write about it, but God, I had to do so many stupid ones that I just made up. Like, because I kind of similarly, like you said, you got hired by the theater department. I got hired by the English department because we had a press on site at Sam Houston State University. Eat 'em up, cats, meow. It's called the Texas Review Press, and it's still there, still publishing out of there. And I worked there for a year, all through my senior year in school. And then they were like, hey, how about we hire you to work like 6 more months here and keep helping with the press. So I got to see how the inside of the press worked, from the slush pile to the blue line to table of contents to all that stuff. It's very, very cool. But I forget where I was going with this, dude. It was just news writing, not for me. But yeah.
So yeah, I guess I eventually graduated there, actually pretty quickly graduated there, and was trying to figure out what to do, because home was Youngstown, Ohio, which at that point in time was immensely depressed. And I had family in a few different places, so I ended up going to Boston, where famously I was being told you couldn't swing a dead cat without hitting a help wanted sign. So, yeah, that's my family.
So there's like the promise of work or no?
Oh yeah, and I mean, literally within a week, I had a job. I mean, it was just that easy. Everybody was hiring. I ended up working at a press. In fact, financial publishing.
Oh, cool.
Published books for banks to do their math. It was just pages of numbers. So if you needed to charge an interest rate and this person owed you this amount of money, you used a chart.
Oh, fuck. There you go.
I was going to say that was the perfect moment.
You said, okay, yeah. You ended with, I used a chart. That's the last thing you said. And I was going to comment on it, but okay. Yeah. It's still recording, right?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, it says recording.
So there's this chart. There's the fingers. And so banks had, it was like walking into a law firm and they had all the books on the wall.
And this is like technical writing. That's the kind of writing that they put out.
Yeah, it was. I ended up writing a book. The first book I ever had published is called The Intro to Commercial Banking. And I wrote the introduction and the rest is all numbers.
Damn, dude. See, you're a better man than I, because my brain just cannot compute reading stuff like that or writing. Like I walked into I didn't even know what the fuck technical writing was. And I'm in, I'm in the creative writing track and I'm like, oh yeah, technical writing, put that in there. Writing. Sure. But another writing class, no problem. I go in and sit down and they start explaining the class to me and I just got up and left. I was like, nah, I'm not going to do this one. Stereo instructions. I don't know.
It was just kind of fascinating because also, the writing part was not the main part of the job. The main part was dealing with clients and providing them answers to their math questions.
Yeah, but that kind of critical thinking, I guess. It's always interesting to me to talk about because some people just snap to things so quick, or they are able to, that's our X-Men that we have to have. We got to have reporter guy. We got to have, snap to the, whatever. But I can't do that. I'm more of feel like, hey, John Wayne, how about where would some fairies and elves do if they were gonna, fuck an elephant? I'd be like, here we go, gotcha. So first of all, fairies and that would be my power. But yeah, technical writing, not. It's tough, man. It's tough. I admire your ability to be able to and you can switch to fiction and fun, prose and stuff like this, easily. So it's not. That's cool. I can't. Yeah, there we go. We'll talk about that book in a second. Yeah, that's not something that I have in my tool belt. So that's got to be good.
It's hard. It is easily the hardest thing, and I have to admit, it's the one that feels that is work to sit down and do.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I can imagine. I can only imagine. Yeah.
And I haven't done it in years. Because I haven't had to.
Yeah, good.
Really.
Good. So enough about that. Let's talk about the fun stuff here.
Yeah. So, all right, here's something I can't really show people very much mostly because I only have one copy.
If you're okay, his pants. If you're not watching the feed, his pants are no.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay,
if it's not on audio. It's there. Here's the sound of a zip. No.
Zip.
Yeah. So what
do we got here, dude?
This is the first genre thing I was published in. This would be over 30 years now.
Okay, so for the people that aren't watching, that are just listening, this is a book you're holding up. It's called Haunts, or is it a magazine, or
Yeah, it's a magazine. It was published out of Rhode Island back in the day by
okay.
Joseph Cherkis,
And
and
what kind of magazine is it?
it's all horror.
All horror short stories. Looks
Yep,
like, yeah,
yep.
cool.
And a couple of articles, nonfiction, sinister cinema, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And some poetry. Um, I don't think there's a name in here that's Don Damas. I don't know. I don't think anybody. Oh, Yvonne Navarro is in here.
Oh, is that any relation to David Navarro, the guitar player?
No, but Yvonne is a pro writer.
Oh, good. Hey.
Still, I think
All
she's
right.
still around doing it.
Shouts out, Yvonne.
And oddly enough, on the back, I didn't even realize this until just now, is an ad for Space and Time magazine, which
you're also in.
I'm in an issue from last year.
Oh, hell yeah. That's awesome, dude. And so you're holding that. Is that a sci-fi more of a magazine? Cool.
Yeah. Angela Eureka Smith edits it, and it's got one of my stories in it.
Hell yeah.
Fusion Friends and the Purple Cow.
Okay, hey, there you go. There's a little bit of my talk with Craig Brownlee. Check him out at craigbrownlee.com, and check out the rest of our conversation over on Patreon, patreon.com/johnwayneliedtoyou. And you can not only hear the rest of my conversation with Craig, but you can listen to all of the back episodes and all of the amazing artists that I've gotten lucky enough to chat with and have on the show. All right, and that actually brings us to our next segment. One of my favorite segments. I'm a big reader, you know that, so it's time for this week's What You Reading For?
What you reading for?
What am I reading for? Well, we'll tell you because I love it. What am I reading? Well, what I read this recently, and we had this author actually on the Awesome Dude for Life podcast a few weeks back. This is Alien, Enemy of My Enemy by Mary San Giovanni. If you're, the video feed, I'm holding the book. I'll also put up a graphic of it so you could see. But yes, I got this book. I had Mary on the podcast, on the Patreon podcast, and we talked a lot about this book. I encourage you to, get on, either join the Patreon, or if you're already on the Patreon and you missed that one, go back and check it out. It's very, very interesting. And one of the reasons I've known Mary for a while, been a fan of her writing, but these kind of books have captured my imagination for a little bit, and I've talked about it. Like, I have one in particular that's a Nightmare on Elm Street spin-off by Tim Wagner. It's not a novelization, which this is not a novelization. When I held it up, I'm sure some people are like, what is that? A novelization of the new Alien movie or something? No, it's not. It's it's like a different story that happens within the universe of that world. So the Nightmare on Elm Street one, it's basically in the universe of Freddy Krueger being a real entity that really affected this community and really hurt these kids, and it's these parents that are trying to cover it up continuously. Every time Freddy has popped back up, the parents have worked hard to bury him so everyone forgets, because everybody knows, as we know, Freddy Krueger can exist if no one remembers him. So they try very hard, but this is just like the story that is in that book, is just that this is what happens when he comes back, and they just don't make a movie about it. I know how that sounds to some people, like, okay, da fook. It's fucking good, trust me. So that's like what this is. And this is not also, to be clear, these are like considered canon. These books, they're licensed. They get the rights. It's the same alien universe in this book that you see in all of the movies. Characters are, all a part of it. The stories are all a part of it. It's not that like you get to take this property and go off the rails and do whatever you want with it. At all. And like Mary and I talked about, I asked her, how do you navigate that? She said, they provide you with this book of rules like this, 4 or 5 inches thick, maybe exaggeration, but big ass book of rules of what you can and can't do, basically. And a lot of it's just things that exist within the universe that you can reference, things that you can't reference, things that have been done before, all kinds of just things to consider when you write a book like this, which makes it, adds a degree of difficulty, I think. I think you can love the property as much as you want. But you still have to consider all these ins and outs, and you can't necessarily just do whatever you want as if it were your own story. So all that to say, I really like books like this when they're well done, and this one is very well done. So just the plot real quick, we find, of course, the evil corporation of Wayland Yutani is experimenting away again up their old tricks, and they're on we find ourselves on this moon that is inhabited by scientists and people doing studies, and it is weeks away from exploding or crumbling in on itself, basically dying, whatever moons do when they die. I don't know if it hits another moon and kisses this guy. Anyway, the moon is crumbling. They all have to get off very soon, but they're wrapping up like all the little ins and outs of their projects. We find ourselves, the main scientist at this facility is working on a serum or some kind of medicine or that's going to prolong the gestation period of a xenomorph inside of a human being. So we all know, like, if you're hopefully familiar with the alien universe, the xenomorph, the facehugger gets on you, plants the shit in your belly, and then it lives in your chest and bursts out. And what they say in this book and in the movies, it's it can be anywhere from, I forget what she said. It's said in here 1 to 6 hours. Like it's very, either way, it's quick. It's not like days and days. It happens within hours. So they're trying to create this serum that will prolong it so that they can what it's disguised as, so they keep the people alive longer in like cryo sleep, so they can try to remove the xenomorphs. They can let them live up to 2 weeks more while the thing is inside of them growing, but that's not really what they're doing. So they're testing it on these people that of course have no idea that they're gonna die, because they're just timing to see how long it takes for the thing to jump out of them. This is all in the opening. I'm not spoiling anything. Of course, like a xenomorph jumps out, they have these lasers inside of the place where they're holding the test subjects, and it's supposed to be in this container, like, all proofed out, no one can get in or out type of situation. They have a laser at the top. As soon as the xenomorph busts out, they stop the timer and they shoot it like right away. And it all works always according to plan until now, when this one bursts out and they go to shoot it and they can't. It starts dodging around because it somehow has learned that that's what's going to happen through osmosis. I don't know how these aliens do things, but it knows that that's what's going to happen. So then it manages to get away and escape. And I think we all know what happens to a ship or a space colony when a xenomorph gets loose. I don't want to steal Mom's line, but hilarity does ensue. Now, of course, we're in this countdown. Everyone, these things are multiplying rapidly. Then they're destroying everybody that's on this moon. They're trying to get off, and they end up hitting another big problem outside of their just being xenomorphs. That is going to keep them from possibly getting off of the moon before it explodes. But that I will not spoil. But I will say, highly recommend if you're into the Alien franchise. Even if you're not, it's still a great story. Alien, Enemy of My Enemy, Mary San Giovanni. Highly recommend it. And that is this week's What You Readin' For?
What you reading for?
Okay, well, now moving right along here, that brings us to another segment. Our next segment, everyone's favorite segment, it seems. You know her, you love her. It's time for another episode, another installment, another thrilling engagement of Mom's Movie Corner. Mom, come on, get out here. Thank you, John Wayne. Thank you so much. Welcome back, everybody, to Mom's Movie Corner. I'm Mom. Of course, you know me because my boys, John Wayne and J-Dog and Jay, well, they love to watch their movies as little young boys, and I watched them to vet those movies, and I fell in love with them, and now we are here in Mom's Movie Corner. This is my little outlet where I get to talk about the movies that I like to watch, and this is no exception. So today I want to talk about a movie that I watched recently, but I've watched it several times since, and it is called Arena. Now, there's a couple of movies called Arena, The Arena, Death Arena, blah, blah, blah. This is Arena from 1989, and it is directed by Peter Manoogian. Peter Manoogian. Yeah. Okay, so this also stars Paul Satterfield and Claudia Christensen, and here's the basic plot of this movie. So it's the year 4038. Okay, and there's star stations, and the galaxy has all been linked and intertwined, and there's this universe champion fighting, mixed martial arts, boxing, karate kicks for Jesus, all of it because you know what? They're all aliens fighting each other, interspecies erotica even. And so we find ourselves our hero. His name is, what is his name in this? Is Sam or Boss or Gene? It doesn't matter, but he's working at a cafe at the beginning of the movie, a star diner in the Stardust Field, and he gets into a fight with this alien who's supposed to be this badass fighter, and he kicks his ass right there in the diner, and you know what? He gets fired for it. He and his boss, they get fired, and so somebody sees this, and they're like, well, you should maybe fight in the championships because you're a good fighter. And everyone's like, this guy's gonna get his ass kicked right away because he's a puny human, and these are monsters. And let me tell you this. That's one of the reasons why I like this movie so much is for the creature design. I mean, look at all these different creatures. They're so fantastically done that I even have to give props to these creature effects were all practical effects. Some of them were puppets. Most of them were applied to the actors' faces and bodies and such. But John Carl Buechler and Studio is who did all the creature effects, and he had 50 plus artists and engineers working on this, all of the creature effects, all of the effects for the fights where they're fighting each other, because it's no CGI in there, okay? It's real, either people in prosthetics or these huge puppets that he has to fight that are really scary looking, and they did a really good job. That's by far my favorite part of the movie. So, our hero is in the ring. He's fighting. Everyone thinks he's going to lose because he's a puny human. Turns out he's pretty gosh darn good. Gosh darn, I said. That's right. He's pretty good. And he starts to win. But when you know it, he keeps winning. And now the crooked fight promoter, who's the head of the organization, like that, art imitates life, huh? Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. UFC, WWE. Yeah, anyway, he's a crooked fight promoter over all of it. And he says to him, look, you should come and you should fight for me and not your stupid manager who used to be your boss at the diner. I'll give you money. And then you'll do what I say. You'll take a fall when I say. You'll do what I say. And he says, no dice, son. I'm not doing that crap. I'm going to fight. So in the true spirit of Rocky Balboa and many before him, he goes into the ring and he fights. And man, they clobber him. But he comes back from his clobbering at the very last, and hilarity ensues. Does he win? I don't know. You'll have to watch Arena to find out. And even if you don't like all the fighting and the nonsense, watch for the creature effects. They are stellar. Anyway, that's Mom's Movie Corner for this week. Thank you all for joining me again, and thank you, John Wayne, for having me. Thank you, John Wayne. Thank you. Okay, thanks, Mom. Thank you very much. Yeah, wow. That was a good one. I really do like that movie, Arena, and she hit it on the head. The creature effects are great in that movie. I mean, the costumes, it's awesome. So I really like that movie. I recommend it as well. That is streaming on a lot of places for free right now. Arena. There's another one that came out in like 2011 or something. Don't mess with that one. That's not good. Mess you up. So yeah, Arena. Anyway, moving right along into our conversational part of the show, in where the conversation is just me talking to you. Uh, just to catch everyone up, talk about the shows that I've been doing lately. So, last week I was in Nashville once again. Those of you who follow me along on social media saw I keep up all the stops and everywhere I go along the way, and I was happy to be heading to Nashville for Full Moon's Tattoo and Horror Convention, which I've done at least 3 or 4 of these. I had to skip it last year because we had tickets to see Alkaline Trio here in Las Vegas, and it was the last night of the tour, and of course I didn't want to miss that. One of my favorite bands. So I didn't. I opted not to go last year. Elected not to go. This year I was back on it. I like this show a lot too. Ben, who runs the show, is a great showrunner. He's a very generous guy. He's a kind guy, and he really cares about his show. Both sides of it, because it's a huge tattoo show in one part of the hotel, and then the horror show in another part. And he takes the time to go around and talk to everybody, not just people he knows. Like, we've gotten to know each other, but he goes to every single table and talks. What can I do for you? Is everything okay over here? How you guys doing? How's the day been? And Bonet, and I imagine, I haven't seen it happen, but I imagine there's some people who don't hesitate to tell him that they're having a bad day or having a bad time, and I'm sure he takes it all in stride, and takes care of what the best way he can. So I really like this show. I was happy to be back at it. Another reason why I like it, of course, I get to go to Nashville, which means I get to see my very good friends Amanda and Michael down at the Quick Compound. Shouts out! Wow. I of course get to chill there and stay with them. They're very gracious every time I go to Nashville. So, funny story. Like I get there, and I get to Amanda's and Michael's. And it's not 420 yet, but I had stopped on the way. It was like 419, I believe, and I got this joint that was 2 grams, and this was like a big baseball bat of a joint, and I didn't get there till Thursday night in the evening. I rolled in, threw my shit at the hotel, and then it's like bye. Went back with Amanda to the house, and we smoked that joint. Everyone smoked it. We had a great time, getting all high and catching up with each other. It was great. And then it was pretty much off to the races. Or the next day, very funny. Beforehand, we were gonna get there early around noon to finish setting up and just kind of get ready. One funny thing was one of the dogs, Braxton, a little dog, a little energy pellet of a pup, just like I was out taking my walk in the morning, which I like to do when I'm over there with Amanda and Michael, and I see like the door swing open as I'm coming down the driveway, and there goes Braxton, just takes off running. And he's gotten away like that before. He's a runner, so we got a whole posse on him trying to find Amanda, her friend Lacey, myself. I get in my car, I go down, I find him. He's stopped at this part of the road where the garbage man was like picking up trash, and it's a small garbage truck. I don't know, maybe it's a recycling truck. I don't know. It's fucking weird. So he stopped there trying to check that out, and I'm trying to yell at the garbage man. I'm like, grab that dog, grab him. And the garbage guy's just like waving at me. All right, yeah, okay. And I was like, go pick him up and grab him. And he doesn't do it. So I walk up to Braxton, and I bend down slowly to get him. And as I do, he turns to go to run, and I said, oh, no, you don't. And I dove and grabbed him by the hind legs, pulled him close to me, but I got road rash all down my shoulder and elbow, and I didn't even realize it till we got back, and I was like, who got him? And they're like, holy shit, what happened to your shoulder? It was one of those type of things, but it was all worth it to get Braxton back, and he sat in the seat afterwards. I put him in the car. He was just like, we're going for a ride. I like it. I'm going for a ride. Braxton, You little devil, you. So we get there, and it's first of all, I also want to say, I want to give shouts out to a lot of the people that I know from the show, like that come out. I don't want to miss anybody. Shouts out to Sandy and Mark, of course. Shouts out to my brother Gator. Always good to see you. It's always too short of a time. Shouts out to my man Strange for bringing through with the beers, the hats for the Nashville Sound. Thank you, dude. You're a bad motherfucker. Bo and Daly coming back to see me, of course. Appreciate you guys. And Victoria and Chrissy, you guys, thank you so much. Shouts out. I'm sure I missed people. I can't remember them all, but that is I do want to make an effort, because there's a lot of great people that I like to see at all of these shows. That's part of what makes these shows special and doable, or even bearable at times. It looks fun. I know perception is reality, and it always looks like we're having a ball, and wow, we're at a horror convention, we're doing it, and yes, there's that. There's that part of it, but just like anything else, it can be tough to get through a day sometimes. They're not all cookies and Freddy Kruegers. It's sometimes you're just not feeling it, just like anything. But you have these people that just by being there are able to kind of remind you or reinstill that, like, hey, it's not that bad. This is why you're here, dude. This is what is important. And it can bring you bring you back out, unless you're being really extra emo and fighting it. But no, these people are important. The people that you meet there, the other vendors, the showrunners, all of those things can really make or break your experience if you let them. They can all affect it positively if you want to. You're taking the positive effects, but it can affect you negatively, and that's where you have to be like, you can't let that control the way you are gonna have your day or your weekend or your career. And it's hard. It's easier said than done, guys. I say that. I'm not saying that we can all do this easy. I work on it all the time. Sometimes I struggle with this. It's tough out there for a pimp, like I say. But yeah. So many great people I was gonna get to see, and Friday started off, and it was pretty jam and pretty slam and busy. The big heavy celebrity that they had was David Howard Thornton, of course, Terrifier fame, Art the Clown. There's a lot of people there. There was this one couple, very sweet. They actually ended up buying some books for me later. But when we got there, the floor didn't open till 4 on Friday afternoon, and we got there around 11:30 noon to like I said, Amanda and I, just to get our tables put nice, and you want to be there early, get everything ready. And I saw them sitting in the hallway as I'm walking back and forth doing stuff, and I thought they were vendors. I was like, they must be like, just chilling before the show, because they had stuff. They had like some tubs on a in a wagon and stuff like we would, like the vendors would have. Smash cut to like 8-9 o'clock that night. They come by the table. I'm like, oh, you guys in line? And they're like, yeah, we wanted to be first in line. I was like, holy shit. And they were. They got all their shit signed early, and they got it all out of the way. So I guess, it was worth the wait for sure. But that's what this show is like. It gets stacked up with people. You can see the line forever, ever going. And then it takes a little while for the people to get in and get dispersed. And their majority are running right to the autograph table. So you got to wait a little bit for it to start to fill out. And it did. And it was a decent Friday night for sure. Decent numbers, decent sales, great time seeing people. I didn't want to go, like they were having like an after show dinner at the fucking play. That's the last thing I want to do. You guys know that. Not in a group dinner. I went back to the house to chill, took a shower and all that stuff. And then Saturday is, that's the day we get there. Of course, this is a long day, 10 a.m. to 11 p.m. Or 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. One of those. It is a late ass fucking night. But again, same thing. Like the line, people were there. Like we got there, people were probably been there since like 6 a.m. waiting in line. Like this, I told you, I wish I cared about something enough to wait in a long ass line like that. And so same thing. We had to wait a little bit for it to all like kind of come up, fill up and everybody fill out to the whole thing. And it was popping for a minute, man. It was really packed out with people. And I was having good sales, good stuff. I saw, my stacks were going down and down and down on my table, and selling out of a few titles. Again, getting to see some great people, have a couple beers, couple laughs, made some new friends. Shouts out to my man Christian. This guy was setting up his table on Friday. Like, he's late. Like, the show is open, and he's coming in, putting stuff down. And he sits down on a beanbag chair, shit, puts a rug out. I was like, what the hell is this? And I went over to him after he was finally done, and I told him, I said, I really admire your cavalier nonchalance with which you come in and set your stuff up. And he was like, huh? Yeah, but it was just kind of like, hey, here we are, and there you go, here's my stuff. But he's a really cool guy. Got to talk with him a bit, make new friends, and we smoked a bunch of weed together. So there you go. But yeah, Saturday was banging. It was busy until the afternoon, maybe towards the later end of the afternoon. It got painfully slow. And that's how it is. It gets to be around dinner time. You're going to have, crowds thin out anyway. And now, so the majority of the people at that point, they're getting tattooed. So the tattoo stations are bumping. They're busy with their clients, as they should be. And so people that have gotten their autographs and shopped are kind of like leaving around dinner. And it's a hard, thing to balance. I understand. For showrunners, I'm not saying it's an easy thing, but it just got really slow, and we were just kind of sitting around chatting to the extent, like to the point where, like I said, it was 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. But around 8:45, 8:50, one of the people from the con came in and said that they were going to close the floor an hour early because it was so slow. So we actually closed at 9. And again, I just ripped out of there, went back to the house. I wasn't feeling partying. Plus, like, when I'm not staying at the place, it makes it a whole lot harder, because you got to drive back and forth to places and all that kind of stuff. Plus I'm just, I've done a lot of that stuff. I went to all the parties. I smoked all the drugs. I drank all the beer. And I still like to do those things. But, at this moment, my energy is best used elsewhere. Especially where my career and things are concerned. So don't worry, I'm still your ultimate party animal. But sometimes I just don't want to go out after these things. It's just tough. So that was great. But then Sunday was like, it was Easter Sunday. And this show is always on the Easter weekend, which is, it's good and bad, because you got to wonder exactly how much is Easter going to affect the attendance at a horror convention. Sometime, the past, couple of years that I've been there, it's been decent on that Easter Sunday. This time, I don't know if a lot of people found Jesus or what, but it was painfully slow on Sunday, at least over in our room, and that's not for everybody. And I'm not saying that it was a bad show. It was a great show. It was just slow on Sunday for several of us, at least in the room that I was in. But you always want to do better. You always do. If you don't, then something's wrong with you. If you're like, I did it, I peaked. You always want to do better. But it can be discouraging. And that's where I find myself having to really power through mentally, emotionally, and fall back on the things. I've had the good fortune of being able to have been in therapy for over a decade. So I've learned these things through that. I've learned these tools that I have to kind of go back on to help bring myself out of these things or see the better way and pull out of it. But it is still, even with all this, it is still hard. It's not easy to change your mindset or always, see the bright side or not get discouraged. And I think that that's part of it. Of course, we're going to feel that way. We're going to feel this way. And this doesn't just apply to people doing the kind of thing that I do. Everybody does. Everybody gets discouraged. Everyone has to figure out how to pull themselves out of it. But no matter how we do it, there's easier said than done. I think the important thing is that we do pull ourselves out. We do get out of it. We do see the other side, and we do live to fight again. So as I said, not only did I canceled FrankenCon, there's also all kinds of changes going on with my travel. I'm going to stay on the West Coast a little bit more. I'm going to be doing things like that, but I'm still going to be out there, still be at the big shows. I'll be at Texas Frightmare, of course. But you have to figure out how to get past these forms of discouragement. And you have to remove the things that aren't working for you anymore from your life. And sometimes, there's just big portions that have to be excised. And, and that's what I'm doing now. See, guys, I'm honest. I'm just chatting with you. Like, this is not, I'm not qualified in anything. I'm just talking to you about like what I'm going through, what I go through, and how I process it, what I feel about it. I can tell you what works for me, and that's really all I can say. So, all in all, full moon was awesome. It was great to see everybody. It could have been what I would have liked it to have been, busier sales and such wise for me. But hey, sometimes you eat the bar and sometimes the bar eats you. It wasn't bad. It wasn't great, but it was a good time, and it was something that I do appreciate. And I always have fun. I always learn, and I always take something away. And this was no exception. So I would love to go back to full moon again. I'm not writing this off in any way. Like I said, this is a great con. Ben does a great job, and I look forward to coming back in a year and turning it all around. I hope to be back, and we're gonna make it awesome. So enough of that. Before we get out of here, I want to talk about yesterday. Well, this has happened yesterday. Major shouts out to my twin brothers from another mother, Andrew and Brandon, out there in California, rapping it hard. These guys became good buddies with these guys, and they took care of Scarlett and I big time through their connects. I don't want to blow up their spot, but we got to go through them by their awesome powers that they hold to Disneyland yesterday for Bats Day, which is the unofficial goth takeover of Disneyland. That's right, unofficial. It's not part of the curriculum or whatever. That's not on their website or anything like that, but it's organized and put out there, and everybody comes gothed out and is at Disney. And it's quite a juxtaposition for a lot of people, and I think it's brilliant, actually. But we got to go to that, and I've never been to Disneyland before, so this was my maiden voyage. And I was Scarlett, myself, and Andrew and Brandon, and they were showing us all around the park. I wrote down all the rides we rode. Space Mountain, which is now called I was gonna say Deep Space. What is it called? Space. Lightspeed Mountain or Lightspace Mountain, Lightspeed Space Mountain, because it's Star Wars themed now. In Star Wars Land, that is a roller coaster, is awesome. We rode Smuggler's Run in Star Wars, Star Tours in Star Wars, Autotopia, which is basically just like a go-kart on a track that you just drive around. It's fun. We did a Winnie the Pooh, which was very good, trippy, waffles and snuffleupagus and something like that. I don't know. Of course, we did Pirates of the Caribbean, and then we did, we rode the train. Rode the train around, and it was a lot of fun. We had a great time, and thanks to those guys for hey, I love you guys. Thanks for setting that up for us. It was a nice little distraction, a nice little diversion that we needed, that I needed, and it was a great time. Very fun to see all the goths like in Disneyland, and it's also a perfect day because it was cool and overcast. Great day for the goths to be out. Which I was happy for, because I did not want to walk around in the heat and the sun. despite the magic of Disney, which was magic. It was great. We had churros, pretzels, all the stuff, and we got to look nice and sad. You could see my pictures from there on my Instagram at John Wayne is Dead. So speaking of that, we have to go today, folks. I appreciate you all tuning in, listening to me talk about, going through this, doing this thing called life, living on the road, and, making it happen. One scaby-ridden motel room at a time, or by one, or whatever. Anyway, thank you guys so much for checking it out. Again, if you're listening to just the audio feed, check out the video feed. Subscribe to the John Wayne Lied to You YouTube channel. You can just go there or go to johnwayneisdead.com. All of the links are on my site. You can even watch the videos straight from the site. They are right there under the podcast page for you. Don't forget, John Wayne is Dead. New album is coming out on vinyl very soon. It is already in the works. 2 new colors of tapes are coming out, cassettes, 2 colors of vinyl, all of the things, all the stuff. Check us out, and we have dates coming up. It's going to be awesome. And for a little extra goodies, check out patreon.com/John Wayne is Dead. Join one of the tiers so you can listen to all of the awesome Dude for Life Boner bonus podcasts. And don't forget to follow me at John Wayne is Dead on Instagram and TikTok. Everything else at johnwayneisdead.com. See you next time.
John Wayne lied to you.
Wow.